The world is never going to be the same again.
I'm worried about the world.
The world is never going to be the same again.
I'm worried about the world.
The mass chaos and crises that there was in the world, it's going to be just like that now.
This is not an accident.
How long is it going to last? Longer than even for those of you that have some cash in the bank, way past your cash reserves.
Out of 100 people, 4 will get the message.
This thing isn't going to be over in a few weeks. This thing isn't going to be over in a few months.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. As guys, I'm extremely excited to have seen the recent market crash because to me, it makes the picture extremely clear for what's about to come. That massive market crash last week allowed everybody to recalibrate. We saw bulls turn into bears, and we saw bears confirming that they were right. Nonsense. To me, all this means is that we know exactly what's coming next. That was a healthy crash. That was exactly what we needed at that moment in time. And guys, just yesterday, we had that massive hearing in Congress with Brian Brooks. Oh, wherefore art thou, Brian Brooks? One of the biggest heroes in the crypto space, giving his endorsement as far as where he thinks the space is going to go, how to regulate the space, and calling out the SEC. We are going to get into numerous powerful clips from that. But first, I have to tell you where I personally think this market is going to go. We saw that recent crash, and guys, there may be one more, one very tiny one, a very healthy one in the immediate short term. And even if that does happen, that's okay. That's just a distraction to ensure that retail gets scared right before it happens, right before the life-changing bull run happens. Guys, here's what I'm going to say. There are only 2 scenarios left for this massive bull run in this massive altcoin season. Scenario 1 is what I'd like to call the blockchain backer scenario, where the Bitcoin top is in. And what we have left is to see our altcoins take off. I believe if that scenario does play out, we have a limited amount of time to take profits from our altcoins within 2 months, in my opinion. And then once that's said and done, we'll experience our massive 70+% correction. After that, we'll be able to accumulate more coins into a crypto bear market. But there does exist another scenario, one that is just as likely in my opinion, and that is known as the prolonged bull market scenario, where we could go an additional 6 months, seeing prices gradually rise and then explode in a blow off the top scenario, where Bitcoin can surpass $100,000, where Ethereum 2.0 comes out and eventually rises to maximum values, where XRP gets clarity from this SEC lawsuit, and all these coins, all these alts, go an extra leg higher than originally anticipated. Both of these scenarios are on the table. I am monitoring both closely. I think there's a way each of them can happen. The only question left to ask is how much money we're going to make from all our coins, not whether or not we are going to make money. That is such a powerful position to be in, and I can't stress that enough. We've made it through the hell of the crypto market. There might be one little tiny correction before full-blown moon mission. And I want to congratulate you all in advance. Before we continue, we have weathered the storm, and we are going to weather this. I told all of you in my last video, December 8th, that Congress hearing was going to be one of the most historic days in crypto history, and it did not fail to impress me. As immediately after that, I knew with 110% confidence that the bullish sentiment in this market was going to continue. That was a bullish hearing. And let me start off with playing you a couple clips. First, from Warren Davidson, telling his praise to members of Congress for finally hearing us out, hearing the crypto space out. And that's what you all need to be made aware of. We are in the mouths of these politicians in a serious manner for the first time, really, truly, in history. I believe they're going to make policy around this, and that is monumental for the space. Now, guys, please take a listen to this.
Thanks to the ranking member, thanks to our witnesses, and frankly, many people who've worked literally years to get to this point, to have a hearing. The market has been way ahead of this, and frankly, it's been painful to watch, in 2017 and since, when you see the ICO market ripe with people committing fraud or just regulatory arbitrage, taking advantage of the fact that our regulators haven't paid attention to bad actors. And it's been especially frustrating to watch some of our regulators take aim at people that are working very hard and very aggressively to be legitimate businesses, to come into compliance with every kind of licensure and regulatory regime that our country currently offers. It's been woefully inadequate, and so it's so good to get to this point for the hearing. So thank you, and then thanks to my colleagues. I've been very encouraged by the amount of preparation many colleagues have done.
And guys, trust me when I say I've been very encouraged by a lot of the progress and the learning plenty of members of Congress have been doing as well. We have often been stating there needs to be congressional intervention when it comes to this crypto market. This SEC XRP lawsuit, for example, is one of those things that could see that happen. This is a prime example of the SEC trying to go beyond its jurisdiction. The SEC acting tyrannical and trying to bring down the whole space simply for power. We need to see steps in making sure that power is contained. Defining real roles. And Brian Brooks, one of the smartest men, one of the most important men in crypto adoption, made that point very clear. When this market is full blown and we see this bull run really taking off, we all have to send Brian Brooks a beautiful tweet thanking him. His experience in the OCC allows these regulators to listen with respect, and his knowledge of crypto allows these regulators to understand, oh my goodness, this dude knows what he's talking about. Please listen to this as he fired warning shots at the SEC, letting them know they're out of line.
Well, I really appreciate that question. That is the most important issue in the short term for the industry. And so let me just pick up where Mrs. Wagner left off. If the question is the current test clear, it's clear in the sense that we know what it is. It's not clear in that it's a four-factor balancing test. So I often think about what like the U.S. trucking industry would be like if the truckers didn't know that the speed limit was 75 miles an hour. They just had a four-factor test of general safety having to do with how much sleep they got the night before, the overall size of their payload, and other factors. People need to know what the speed limit is. In my old agency, the OCC, what would happen is a bank would come to us with a new activity proposal, and we would give them an answer. We would either give them a non-objection or we would not give them a non-objection, and it was very clear whether they would be allowed to access that. What happens in the United States is you have a new crypto project and you walk into the SEC and you describe it in great detail and you ask for guidance and they say, we can't tell you, and you list it at your own peril. So whether this comes from legislation that defines what is a security and what isn't a security, or whether it comes from Congress in the form of legislative discretion to an agency to say what is a security, I would argue that a four-factor balancing test is no better here than it is as truckers drive down the highway guessing what safe is.
Guys, that was so important. He literally stated If you can be a good actor, go to the SEC asking for guidance and they can still say we don't have any. We don't have any guidance for you. That's what literally happened to Ripple for years. David Schwartz said it best. We're meeting with you every week. And then you're going to turn around and sue us? Letting you guys know exactly what we're doing, then you're going to sue us. That is why I believe this lawsuit, for the most part, is quite a bit of theater. But regardless, that's neither here nor there. What's important to note is that Brian Brooks is calling out the nonsense that the SEC is doing and giving a good example of what he did at the OCC and good leadership. Now, before we continue, I have to say that with this Ripple SEC case, it was brought up that an exchange had asked the SEC whether or not XRP was a security. An argument here for Ripple is that how could they have known XRP was a security when the SEC themselves did not know at this time? Because they did not say that XRP was a security at the time. Very interesting indeed. Now guys, this is the moment Brian Brooks asked a very important question with regards to our digital assets, specifically in front of Congress with regards to XRP. Please take a listen.
For a moment, Mr. Brooks, if you were king for a day and you were going to tell us, here's what you need to do to structure the regulatory framework, in a minute and 39 seconds, tell us what that would look like.
I mean, I can barely introduce myself in a minute and 39 seconds, Congressman. I come back to the concept of parity. I don't know why we believe that incumbent institutions are risk-free and anything new is highly risky. So if I have a platform built on a blockchain that is doing lending, I don't know why it's so hard for us to say that can participate in our banking system. If I decide that XRP is a security, why won't we let it list on a US exchange? The problem is we treat crypto assets differently from all other assets. And the answer is just recognize them for what they are. These are assets that represent some underlying activity. It could be a network, it could be an application. They have a value that people are willing to buy and sell at. Let them in. That would be my message. Let them in.
Guys, that was a powerful message from Brian Brooks. All he asked regulators to do is to let us in. He had stated previously that the US is unquestionably behind the curve on crypto ETFs. This is just one example. Brooks placed the lack of ETFs in the US on the SEC, yet another shot pointed towards the SEC and Gary Gensler's incompetence. Though the regulator has recently approved ETFs with exposure to Bitcoin futures from investment managers ProShares and Valkyrie, it has yet to give the green light for Bitcoin or other crypto ETFs. In contrast, many US companies with operations in Canada have successfully applied with local regulators for ETFs with direct exposure to crypto. You see, guys, these are all external variables at play here. We do not know how exactly regulators are going to handle things, and that leaves uncertainty in markets, which brings volatility. I get it. I understand it. This is all on purpose, in my opinion. Mental gymnastics against the retail investor. Here's what I'm going to say, though. The bullish scenario stands. We are bullish in this space until further notice. There are some indicators to me that are of concern when it comes to the macro side of things that we will be reviewing tonight on this channel yet again. Another video will be posted tonight reviewing massive indicators that I'm looking at. And those are variables that can change the trajectory and the speed of how quickly adoption can happen. But guys, I think my favorite part of what Brian Brooks had to say is when he talked about why we think that incumbent institutions are risk-free, which they're not. And crypto assets are highly risky, and they are. But incumbent institutions, in my opinion, are the maximum risk at the moment. The reason is because of the only 0.1% interest rates that you'll get on your damn savings account, compounded with the negative 40% on your money you'll make because of inflation, and that is the real number. Guys, what I can guarantee as well is that within the next 2 to 5 years, investing in this high quality digital asset space, you will maximize your money. Now guys, I'm gonna play you one final clip from Brian Brooks yet again, because he was really on a tear over the past few days, letting all of you know his thoughts on the positives that were taken from that meeting. Please take a listen as he also gives confidence into the future of this asset class.
Making fun of an asset class that has a $3 trillion market cap, that has millions of users and fundamental development happening on it the same way the internet did 25 years ago, that's probably short-sighted.
Well, at BitFury, you guys have created pretty much a large-scale digital asset platform and infrastructure for products and services, along with microchips that help in the mining process. Tell me what struck you most about yesterday's hearing, what encouraged you and what discouraged you.
Well, I've been testifying before this committee for a while now, and what surprised me was, by and large, there was sort of a bipartisan consensus that crypto is here to stay, and that the network effects of financial services and other creator economy type of things is a real benefit to society. There were some outliers on both sides of the aisle, but there did seem to be a bipartisan consensus that this is here and it's probably a good thing. I was expecting more partisanship, to be honest, and instead we had 5 hours of fairly deep questioning on both sides, so that was the positive takeaway.
Well, the committee chair, Maxine Waters, did say that she wanted members of Congress and members of the Financial Services Committee to become more educated about it. But the point is, what will regulation look like? There is already existing regulation, but there isn't sort of one overarching regulatory body that can look at crypto very intently, because it is complicated and it's shifting under our feet and changing as we speak. Would you be opposed to some type of individual beyond the SEC who's specifically knowledgeable about it, watching it, understanding it, and regulating it?
Yeah, well, Liz, this is going to be a funny comment coming from me, but the answer is I really would be opposed to that, partly because I fear all-powerful government central planners, and we don't have that anywhere else in our financial system. So, for example, there is not one banking regulator in the United States. There are 3 banking regulators, and that's for a whole bunch of historical reasons. What worries me about that for crypto is there is no one thing called crypto. It's very hard to think about gaming tokens and NFTs and tokenized financial assets and Bitcoin as all being representative of the same thing. So the way I think about it is, if you're a crypto project engaged in lending, you should probably be regulated like a bank that makes loans is regulated.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a powerful video. As Brian Brooks stated, there wasn't much partisanship, something that was a concern for me. Thank goodness it's not a concern for him. There seems to be some bipartisan agreement that this is here to stay. They're not going to regulate crypto out of existence. In my opinion, they're going to get rid of the bad actors and allow for a path for survival of this space. However, I'll say this. Brian Brooks did state there'll probably be numerous regulatory bodies regulating the space, and I'm all for it. That seems practical. That seems logical. Not all cryptos are the same, and I'm excited to see how exactly that looks. Brian Brooks about a year ago stated regulations was 6 to 8 weeks away, and that clearly was not correct. But now it seems like regulations is very close, and in my personal opinion, somewhere around that time frame close. This is coming out of the mouths of regulators. Crypto is coming out of the mouths of regulators. This SEC Ripple case, in addition, seems to be coming to a breaking point. One that, in my opinion, will probably end with a settlement. Long overdue if you ask all of us. But what I'm going to tell all of you is, We've made it. Things are looking excellent. The bullish momentum is not going to stop. The worst case scenario is one more minor correction before an upward explosion. We will continue to pinpoint any and all things you need to look at. But guys, I'm so excited. And I just can't hide it. Ooh, and I'm gonna leave you with BitBoy capitulating to the XRP community as a reminder that his credibility is on the line. And while he was talking shit about XRP for all those years, he finally sees the money. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
There is not a single coin out there, and hear me on this, there's not one coin out there that exists that is more undervalued than XRP is at this time right now, and your time is running out to load up because it will be mooning very, very, very soon. If Bitcoin starts running, it will start running. It'll get back over that $1.35 hump, heading back towards $2. And then before you know it, it's going to be too late and you're going to have missed out.